What if your greatest power isn't in defending yourself, but in opening your heart? Think about that for a moment. Really think about it. What if the energy you've been using to push back, to resist, to protect yourself could instead be used to love, to connect, to embrace? How much lighter would you feel? How much freer? Let me tell you something powerful. This shift, this choice is where transformation begins. Here's the truth. No one can take your peace unless you give it away. No one. You see, we're taught from a young age to build walls, to protect ourselves from pain, rejection, and offense. Someone says something hurtful, and we're conditioned to react, to fire back, to defend our pride. But what if you didn't? What if, instead of building a fortress, you built a bridge? Instead of closing off, you opened up. Let me tell you a story. There was a man, a father, a husband who worked tirelessly to provide for his family. One evening, after an exhausting day, he came home to find his teenage son had crashed the car. Angry, frustrated, he was ready to lash out. But then something shifted in him. He paused, took a deep breath, and asked himself, what does my son need right now, my anger or my love? And in that moment, he chose love. He wrapped his arms around his son and said, I'm just glad you're okay. Think about that. That father had every reason to be upset, to let the offense take over. But he chose love. And that choice didn't just change the moment, it changed the relationship. So here's a question for you. How many times have you held on to anger, thinking it was your shield, when in reality it was your prison? Now imagine the freedom of letting go. Imagine responding with love instead of resistance. How would it transform your relationships, your experiences, your entire life? Let's do a little exercise. I want you to close your eyes and picture someone who's hurt you. Someone whose words or actions have lingered in your heart like a thorn. Got it? Now, instead of replaying the hurt, imagine sending them love. Picture a beam of light connecting your heart to theirs. Not because they were right, not because you're excusing their behavior, but because you're choosing to free yourself from the burden of carrying that pain. Do you feel that? That's not weakness, that's power. Here's something to hold on to. Love is not something you give only when it's easy. Love is what you choose when it's hard die. Think of the ocean. Waves crash against rocks, but the water doesn't resist. It doesn't get angry or try to fight back. It flows. It moves with grace, with power, with persistence. And over time, those rocks, those obstacles are worn down, smoothed out, shaped into something new. You have that same power within you. But here's the challenge society tells us to fight. To win. To prove ourselves. And if we're not careful, we start to believe that our worth is tied to our ability to defend. But let me ask you this, what if winning isn't about being right? What if winning is about being free? Freedom isn't found in proving others wrong. Freedom is found in releasing the need to prove anything at all. There's a story about the Buddha. One day a man came to him angry and shouting insults. The Buddha sat quietly, unmoved. When the man finally stopped, the Buddha asked him, if someone offers you a gift and you refuse to accept it, to whom does the gift belong? The man replied, to the one who offered it. The Buddha smiled and said, then I refuse your anger, and it remains with you. That's the kind of power we're talking about, the power to refuse anger, to refuse offense, and to choose peace instead. Here's another hook for you. When you stop defending, you start discovering Dot. Discovering what? Your strength. Your resilience, your capacity to love beyond conditions. Think about the people in your life who have truly impacted you. Were they the ones who fought the hardest or the ones who loved the deepest? Let me bring this closer to home. Have you ever been in an argument where you just couldn't let go of needing the last word? And afterward, even if you won, did you feel peace? Or did you feel drained? That's because the energy of conflict is exhausting. It takes so much from you. But love energizes, love expands. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what about boundaries? What about protecting myself? And here's the beautiful thing, choosing love doesn't mean becoming a doormat. It doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. Love can be fierce. Love can say, I value myself enough to walk away. The difference is this: when you act from love, your actions are rooted in clarity, not fear. Here's a practical tool for you. The next time you feel offended, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I protecting right now? My pride or my peace? And then ask, what would love do in this moment? Maybe love listens instead of arguing. Maybe love walks away instead of escalating. Maybe love forgives not for their sake, but for yours. And let me tell you, the ripple effect of this is profound. When you choose love, you inspire others to do the same. Your relationships shift, your energy shifts. You become a living example of what's possible when the heart leads the way. So I'll leave you with this: what if your greatest power isn't in defending yourself, but in opening your heart? What if, starting right now, you let go of the need to resist and embrace the freedom of responding with love? Just imagine who you could become. Imagine the life you could create, the relationships you could heal, the peace you could feel. Because here's the truth: you are not here to build walls. You are here to open doors. Open them with love and watch the world open back to you. Being offended is a choice, but so is choosing love. Let that sink in for a moment. Offense doesn't happen to you, it happens within you. It's not the words someone says or the way someone acts that creates the feeling. It's how you interpret it, how you choose to hold on to it, how you let it define the moment. So here's the question: what if you stopped reacting and started creating instead? What if, instead of being pulled into someone else's storm, you anchored yourself in kindness and compassion? Imagine the kind of power that would give you not power over others, but power over your own reality. That's what we're diving into today. Think about this: offense is like a hook, and every time you let it snag you, you give away your peace. Somebody says something rude, and what do? We replay it, we analyze it, we tell our friends, can you believe what they said to me? But here's the truth: offense doesn't solve anything, it only amplifies the hurt. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone throws a burning coal at you. What happens if you catch it? You get burned. But what happens if you simply step aside? The coal falls to the ground and loses its power. That's exactly how offense works. It only burns you if you hold on to it. Here's the big idea: being offended is optional. You don't have to pick it up, you don't have to carry it. And when you make the choice to let it go, you free yourself to live in a state of love and grace. Now let's flip this. What happens when you choose love instead of offense? Because love isn't just the opposite of being offended, it's the antidote to it. Love says, I don't have to react to what you said. I don't have to lower my vibration to meet your energy. Choosing love is about creating your reality. Imagine this: someone cuts you off in traffic. Your instinct might be to honk, to yell, to feel your blood pressure rise. But what if instead you paused and thought, maybe they're rushing to something important. Maybe they're having a rough day. That simple shift turns frustration into understanding. Here's something surprising: most of the time, being offended has less to do with the other person and more to do with what's already inside you. Let me say that again. It's not their words, it's your wounds. If someone calls you selfish, and deep down you're already insecure about being selfish, it hits a nerve. But if you know you're not selfish, their words slide right off. So here's the real work. It's not about changing others, it's about healing yourself. When you heal those old wounds, when you stop taking everything so personally, offense loses its grip on you. Think about this: how much energy have you spent being upset about things you can't control? What if you took that same energy and redirected it toward love, toward compassion, toward creating a life that feels light, joyful, and free? Let's break this down into something practical. The next time someone says or does something that triggers you, try this. 1. Pause. Take a deep breath. Don't react immediately. 2. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is it hurt, anger, fear? Identify it. 3. Choose your response. Not a reaction, but a response. Ask yourself, what would love do in this moment? Here's a little secret: every time you choose love, you reclaim your power. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who was constantly criticized by her boss. Every meeting felt like a personal attack. She would leave feeling small, defeated, and angry. But one day, she decided to try something different. Instead of reacting, she started silently blessing her boss. She thought, I don't know what they're going through, but I hope they find peace. And you know what happened? Her energy changed. The meetings didn't feel as hostile. She felt lighter. And eventually her boss's tone softened too. Now you might be thinking, that sounds nice, but it's not always that easy. And you're right, it's not always easy. But here's the thing, easy doesn't create growth. Choosing love, especially when it's hard, stretches you. It expands you. It lifts you out of the smallness of offense and into the greatness of compassion. Let's talk about boundaries, because choosing love doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. Love can say, I respect myself enough to walk away. Love can say, I'm not going to engage in this energy. The key is to set boundaries from a place of peace, not anger. Here's a powerful thought. You don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. Just because someone throws negativity your way doesn't mean you have to catch it. Think about this for a moment. What kind of world could we create if more people chose love instead of offense? Imagine a world where we give each other the benefit of the doubt, where we respond with kindness, even when kindness isn't given to us, where we see the humanity in each other, even when it's hard. Here's another way to look at it. Offense is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Love is the antidote. Love clears the poison from your system. It doesn't mean you agree with the person or condone their behavior. It simply means you value your peace more than holding on to the pain. So here's the invitation. Stop reacting to others and start creating your reality. When someone says something hurtful, you have a choice. You can let it define your mood, your day, your energy, or you can let it go and move forward. Every time you choose love, you're not just changing your experience, you're changing the energy around you. You're creating a ripple effect. And here's the best part, the more you practice choosing love, the easier it gets. It becomes your default setting. Offense starts to feel foreign. Drama starts to feel unnecessary. Peace becomes your natural state. So the next time life tests you, and it will remember this, being offended is a choice, but so is choosing love. And every time you choose love, you're choosing freedom. You're choosing freedom. You're choosing peace. You're choosing the life you deserve. Every time you're offended, you give away your power. Let that sink in for a moment. Someone says something rude. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Someone dismisses your idea. And what happens? You feel the tightness in your chest, the heat rising in your face. You're angry, you're hurt. But here's the kicker in that moment. You've handed them the keys to your peace. They're in control, not you. Why not reclaim that power? Why not respond with love instead? See, being offended isn't a sign of strength, it's a reaction. And reactions, my friend, are rooted in ego. The ego says, how dare they? Don't they know who I am? But your highest self, the part of you that's connected to infinite love, it doesn't get caught up in that game. It asks, what does this moment teach me? How can I bring love here instead? Now, here's where it gets interesting. Most of us think that being offended is natural, inevitable even. But let me challenge you, what if it's not? What if it's a choice? Think about it. Two people can experience the exact same situation, but one walks away furious while the other stays calm. What's the difference? It's not the situation, it's their perspective. One person gives away their power, the other reclaims it by choosing love over judgment. Here's a little hook for you. Offense is a habit. But guess what? So is peace. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who worked in a busy office, constantly dealing with rude clients and demanding coworkers. Every day she'd come home stressed, venting about how inconsiderate everyone was. One evening her husband said, "Why do you let them control your mood? You can't change them, but you can change how you see them." That was her wake-up call. The next day, instead of reacting, she started practicing understanding. When someone snapped at her, she'd think maybe they're having a tough day. When someone was rude, she'd silently send them love. And you know what? Everything changed, not because her coworkers became saints, but because she stopped giving away her power. Here's the truth. You don't need anyone else to behave differently for you to feel peace. Your peace is yours. It's always been yours. But let me ask you this, how often do you give it away? How often do you let someone's words or actions pull you out of alignment with your highest self? Here's another way to look at it. Imagine someone hands you a gift, but it's not a nice gift. It's ugly, heavy, and dripping with negativity. Would you accept it? Of course not. You'd say, no thanks, that's not for me, so why accept the gift of offense? Here's a little secret, you don't have to take it. Let's talk about judgment for a second. Judgment is the fuel of offense. When you judge someone, you put them in a box. You assume you know their story, their intentions, their heart. But the truth is, you don't. None of us do. Now let's flip that. Imagine instead of judgment, you practiced understanding. Imagine looking at someone who's hurt you and thinking, what pain are they carrying? What fears are driving their actions? Does that mean you condone their behavior? No, but it means you free yourself from the grip of their actions. You stop letting their choices dictate your emotional state. Understanding is not weakness, it's strength. Here's another hook for you. Every time you judge, you separate. Every time you understand, you unite. Think about the people who inspire you the most. Are they the ones who hold grudges, who get offended easily, who judge harshly? Or are they the ones who stay calm, who show compassion, who love even when it's hard? I'll tell you this, the people who change the world aren't the ones who get caught up in offense. They're the ones who rise above it. Let me share a quick exercise with you. The next time someone offends you, pause. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, what's really at stake here? My pride or my peace? Then choose peace. It sounds simple, but it's profound. Because in that moment, you're stepping into your highest self. Here's another story for you. A wise teacher once said, when someone insults you, it's like they're trying to give you a hot coal. If you pick it up, you're the one who gets burned. But if you leave it where it is, it can't hurt you. So leave it. Don't pick it up. And let me tell you this, when you start choosing love over offense, you'll notice something amazing. The things that used to bother you, they lose their power. That coworker who always interrupts you, you'll see them with compassion instead of frustration. That stranger who cuts you off in traffic, you'll wish them well instead of yelling. And here's the beautiful part, when you shift, the world shifts with you. Your energy, your presence, it inspires others. It creates a ripple effect of love and understanding. So here's my challenge for you, reclaim your power. Choose love instead of offense. Choose understanding instead of judgment. Because every time you do, you're not just changing your own life, you're changing the world around you. The boundaries we feel aren't real, they're made of fear. Think about that for a second. Let it sink in. Every time you felt stuck, held back, disconnected, was it really because of something outside of you? Or was it the fear you carried within? The fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of being vulnerable. These are the walls we build, but here's the truth. Walls built from fear only block the love you're meant to give and receive. So, here's a question for you. What if dissolving those walls with love is the key to unlimited connection and joy? Let me tell you a little story. A woman I met once told me about her mother. She hadn't spoken to her in years, not because of something catastrophic, but because of small wounds that grew into silence. Each thought the other didn't care. Each built their walls brick by brick. One day, the woman's daughter asked her mom, if you could talk to grandma again, what would you say? And just like that, the wall cracked. She realized those years of distance weren't built on anger, they were built on fear. Fear of being vulnerable. Fear of hearing something painful. But love, pure love gave her the courage to pick up the phone. Now imagine this, how many walls in your life are waiting to be dissolved with one simple act of love. Let me ask you something bold. If fear didn't exist, how would you show up in your relationships? How would you express yourself if you weren't afraid of judgment? Who would you forgive if you weren't afraid of being hurt again? The boundaries we cling to, they're illusions, they're the stories we tell ourselves to feel safe. But let's break it down. Safety isn't in the walls. Safety is in the openness, in the willingness to be seen as you are, flaws and all. Here's a hook for you. The only thing stronger than fear is love. And the only thing keeping you from love is fear. Think of a time when you felt disconnected from someone you care about. Maybe it was a friend, a partner, or a sibling. What was really happening? Were they the problem, Or was it the invisible line you drew between you out of fear of getting hurt, fear of being misunderstood? Here's a powerful truth: connection doesn't happen by chance. Connection happens when you choose love over fear. Let's do an exercise. Picture someone in your life who feels distant right now. Close your eyes and see them standing on the other side of a wall. Now take a deep breath. Imagine that wall dissolving, brick by brick, piece by piece, until there's nothing between you but open space. How does that feel? Let's go deeper. Think about those moments in your life where you've held back. You've wanted to say something, to do something, to share something, but you didn't. Why? Was it because you weren't capable? Or because some small voice in your head said, what if they don't understand? What if they reject me? What if I fail? Here's the secret: fear doesn't protect you, it isolates you. But love is expansive. It's freeing. When you act from love, you don't just tear down walls, you build bridges. And here's the surprising part: those walls aren't just keeping others out, they're keeping you in. Every time you choose fear, you trap a piece of yourself behind that wall. The part of you that's bold, joyful, authentic, that's the part fear locks away. Let me share another story with you. There was a man who always felt disconnected from his colleagues. He assumed they didn't like him, so he kept his distance. One day during a team meeting, someone said, "You always seem so quiet. I'd love to hear your thoughts more." That small moment, someone opening the door, showed him the truth the wall he felt wasn't real. It was fear disguised as a boundary. And once he let it go, everything changed. Here's something to think about. What if the boundaries you feel aren't there to protect you, but to show you where love is waiting to grow? Let's get practical. The next time you feel a boundary rising, whether it's in a conversation, a relationship, or even a new opportunity, pause. Ask yourself, is this boundary real, or is it fear in disguise? Then ask, what would love do here? Maybe love would speak up. Maybe love would forgive. Maybe love would take the risk. And let's not forget this: fear whispers lies, but love speaks truth. Fear says, you're not enough. Love says, you are infinite. Fear says, you might get hurt. Love says, it's worth the risk. Think of the people who inspire you most. Are they the ones who stayed safe, who played small? Or are they the ones who broke through their fears, who opened their hearts fully? Because here's the thing: when you dissolve your boundaries, you give others permission to do the same. Have you ever noticed that when you're vulnerable, when you share openly, it creates space for others to do the same? That's the magic of love. It's contagious, it's transformative. Let's talk about joy for a moment. Joy isn't something you chase, it's something you uncover when you let go of fear. Joy is what's left when the walls come down. Joy is the natural state of your heart when it's open. So I'll leave you with this: what if your boundaries aren't protecting you? What if they're just keeping you from experiencing the depth of love and joy that's already yours? What if dissolving them is the key to the life you've always imagined? Imagine that life. Imagine those walls melting away. Imagine the connections, the possibilities, the freedom that comes when you let love lead the way. When you stop being offended, you become unshakable. Think about that for a moment. Offense is like quicksand. It pulls you in, saps your energy, and leaves you stuck. But imagine this: what if no words, no actions, no negativity could rattle you? What if you were so rooted in love, so grounded in peace that nothing could shake you? That's what we're talking about here. This isn't just an idea, it's a way of living. Let's get real. The world is full of opportunities to be offended. Someone cuts you off in traffic. Your coworker makes a snide comment. A stranger on social media says something hurtful. And what happens? You react. Your heart races, your mind races even faster, and before you know it, you're caught up in anger, frustration, or even self-doubt. But here's the truth: when you react, you're giving away your power. That's right. Every time you let someone else's words or actions control your emotions, you hand over the keys to your peace. So let me ask you this: why are you giving away what's already yours? Here's a little secret. Offense is a choice. Yes, you heard me right, it's a choice. The words, the actions, the situations, they're just events. The offense comes from the meaning you attach to them. And the good news? You can change that meaning. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone calls you lazy now You could take offense, defend yourself, maybe even fire back with a few choice words of your own. Or you could pause, take a deep breath, and realize that their opinion says more about them than it does about you. You see, when you choose not to be offended, you step into a place of power. You stop reacting, and you start responding, and there's a world of difference between the two. Reaction is instinctive. It's driven by ego and fear. Response, on the other hand, comes from a place of love, clarity, and strength. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but what about when someone really crosses the line? When they're truly in the wrong, and here's the thing, choosing not to be offended doesn't mean you're condoning bad behavior. It doesn't mean you're ignoring injustice. It means you're refusing to let someone else's negativity become your reality. Let's do a little visualization. Picture yourself standing in the middle of a storm. The wind is howling, the rain is pouring, and the world around you is in chaos. Now, instead of fighting the storm, you simply stand there calm and steady, knowing that the storm will pass. That's what it feels like to be unshakable. Here's a powerful truth: the storm isn't what shakes you, it's your resistance to it. When you resist, you create tension. But when you let go, when you refuse to be offended, that tension dissolves. You become like the eye of the storm still, peaceful, untouchable. Now let's talk about love, because love is the foundation of this unshakable peace. When you love unconditionally, you stop taking things personally. You start seeing people for who they truly are: flawed, yes, but also human. Think about it. How many times have you been offended by someone only to later realize they were acting out of their own pain? Maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe they were carrying wounds you couldn't see. And maybe, just maybe, it had nothing to do with you at all. Here's the magic of unconditional love. It shifts your focus from judgment to compassion. Instead of asking, why are they doing this to me? You start asking, what are they going through? And that shift changes everything. Let me tell you a story. There was a woman who worked with a boss who was notoriously rude and difficult. Every day she felt herself getting angry and defensive. But one day she decided to try something different. Instead of reacting, she responded with kindness. She brought him coffee. She asked about his day. And slowly she started to see a change, not just in him, but in herself. She realized that his harshness wasn't about her. It was about his own struggles. Now here's the takeaway: when you stop being offended, you create space for healing. Not just for others, but for yourself. Let's do another exercise. Think of someone who has offended you recently. Got it? Now, instead of focusing on what they did, ask yourself, what might they be going through? What pain are they carrying? Feel that shift. That's compassion taking over. And here's the beautiful part: compassion doesn't just heal relationships, it heals you. When you choose love over offense, you free yourself from the weight of negativity. You stop carrying the burden of resentment, and you make room for joy, for peace, for lightness. Here's a hook for you: offense is heavy, love is light. Which one do you want to carry? Think about the people you admire most. Are they easily rattled, quick to take offense? Or are they steady, grounded, unshakable? The truth is, the most powerful people aren't the ones who fight the hardest, they're the ones who love the deepest. Let me leave you with this. Imagine a life where no words, no actions, no negativity could pull you out of your peace. Imagine waking up every day knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on anyone else, that it comes from within. That life is possible. And it starts with one simple choice: stop being offended. Start loving. Because when you do, you become unshakable. Love isn't just a reaction, it's a revolution. Think about that. Love isn't something you do when it's convenient or when someone deserves it. No, love is radical. It's powerful. It's the ultimate rebellion against fear, judgment, and limitation. And it starts with one simple yet profound question: what if, instead of protecting yourself, you expanded your heart? What if, in doing so, you opened the door for miracles to unfold? Let's start here. Every time you feel the urge to protect yourself, to put up walls, ask yourself, what am I really defending most of the time? We're not defending our true selves. We're defending an idea, a label, or a story we've clung to about who we think we are. And here's the kicker: those walls we build to protect ourselves, they don't just keep pain out, they keep love out too. But love, oh love, when you let it flow, it doesn't just transform your relationships, it transforms you. Here's a little secret: love isn't about what you give to others, it's about what you allow to flow through you. The more you open up to love, the more it expands your world. And when you expand your heart, you expand your life. Let me tell you a story. A woman once told me about a falling out she had with her sister. Years of resentment had built up between them. One day during an argument, she felt the familiar urge to defend herself, to remind her sister of every wrong she'd ever done. But then something inside her said, stop. Let it go. Choose love. She took a deep breath and said, I don't want to fight anymore. I just want us to love each other. And you know what happened? Her sister broke down in tears. All those years of walls between them melted in an instant. That one act of choosing love over being right created a miracle in their relationship. Now, here's the question for you. How many miracles are waiting on the other side of your walls? Here's the thing about love. It's not passive. It's not weak. Love is the strongest, most courageous choice you can make. Why? Because it requires you to let go of your ego. It requires you to set aside your need to control, to win, to protect. And that, my friends, takes strength. Here's a hook for you. Love isn't something you fall into. Love is something you rise into. When you make the choice to love instead of react, you elevate yourself. You lift the situation. You create space for something new to emerge, something bigger, something better. Let's get practical. The next time someone says something hurtful, pause, feel the urge to defend, to strike back, and then take a breath. Ask yourself, what would love do in this moment? Maybe love says nothing at all. Maybe love responds with kindness. Maybe love simply walks away. Because here's the truth, love doesn't mean letting others walk all over you. Love means standing in your power, knowing that nothing they say or do can diminish who you are. You've probably heard the phrase, hurt people, but here's the flip side, love people. When you operate from love, you're not just changing how you respond, you're changing the energy you bring into the world. And that energy has a ripple effect. Think about it. How many times has someone's kindness, someone's love shifted your day? Maybe it was a stranger holding the door for you. Maybe it was a friend who listened when you needed it most. Those small acts of love, they matter. They ripple out, touching lives in ways you may never see. And here's the most exciting part, you have the power to create those ripples. Now let's take it deeper. When you stop protecting yourself and start expanding your heart, you begin to see the world differently. Instead of seeing enemies, you see people who are hurting. Instead of seeing obstacles, you see opportunities. Instead of seeing limits, you see possibilities. Here's a powerful visualization for you. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine your heart as a glowing light in the center of your chest. With each breath, see that light expand, filling your chest, your body, the space around you. Feel it growing, reaching out to everyone and everything around you. This is your love. This is your power. And it's limitless. Now imagine living your life from this place, not from fear, not from anger, but from this radiant, expansive love. How would your conversations change? How would your relationships transform? How would your entire world look different? And let's not forget, this isn't just about others. This is about you, because when you choose love, you set yourself free. Free from resentment, free from anger, free from the chains of needing to be right, to prove yourself, to defend. Here's a surprising hook. Love isn't about fixing anyone else. It's about healing yourself. When you love instead of react, you're not just transforming the moment, you're transforming you. Every act of love is a step closer to your truest, highest self. So let me ask you, what are you waiting for? The world needs your love. Not a conditional love that waits for others to earn it. Not a love that hides behind walls or fears rejection. The world needs your boundless, fearless, revolutionary love. And the beautiful thing, the more you give, the more you receive. That's the paradox of love. It's infinite. It's abundant. The more you open your heart, the more the universe pours into it. Here's one last thought for you to carry. Love is the revolution. And you are its spark. What will you create when you let go of the need to protect and choose to expand instead? What miracles are waiting for you to unleash the power of your heart? The choice, my friends, is yours. Thanks for joining me today. If you found value in this discussion, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more motivational content. Share your thoughts in the comments below.